How much would you rate this? One thing that no one knows about you and you're going to reveal in on my channel today.
Don't network when you need to network. Network because you feel like you need to connect with people.
Hello everyone, welcome to Conversation with Kushal once again. Today we have with us a person who does not need any introduction, a person whom I can listen to for hours and hours, a person whose complete ads I can watch on YouTube, a person who never gets angry, a person who can survive without water but not without tennis, and a person who never fails to trouble his real sister. Well, he's none other than wait a minute guys. So just before taking his name, let's introduce him through some witty rhymes. The man who states that epic shit is what you should do. The man who can take risk and stand in front of a lion in a zoo. The man who can not only speak but can dance and sing too. He is your favorite, my favorite, none other than Ankur Warikoo. Thank you so much, Ankur, for coming here. It's pleasure having you here today.
Oh my god, that's such a wonderful introduction, man. I love it. I'm going to steal these lines here. Thank you so much for having me, Kushal. It's a joy to be on your channel.
So, Ankur, I've been following you since a year, since more than a year now on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Firstly, kudos to you for creating an amazing set of content, which really helps me also in order to apply that in my day-to-day life. And apart from that, I did not get a chance to read the entire book, but I've gone through the glimpse of books of Do Epic Shit. And firstly, heartiest congratulations for selling 100,000 copies. So that's a great achievement. Kudos to you for that. In that book only, I was just going through, you mentioned that it's very difficult at times to have this never give up attitude, and you've also mentioned about your failures as well. So just wanted to understand, how do you push yourself each and every day, and what message you'd like to share it with the entire audience who are, let's say, dismantled or heartbroken?
That's a very deep question here, and I have multiple ways of dealing with that, Kushal. I think your approach towards failure changes considerably as you gather more and more experience, as you also get more and more experience with failures already. And the early failures are frankly quite devastating because we are not trained to react favorably towards failures. We don't know how to deal with it. We start blaming ourselves, start blaming others, start blaming circumstances. So it's a whole variety of reactions that we go through. And I'd say that in the early days of your career, in your life, if you do fail, then take your time to get over it. Like, you don't have to be in that Indian mindset ki no jaldi 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 आगे बढ़ो कुछ नहीं होता ये तो होता रहता है. Take your time to get over it. Listen to your emotions. Don't dismiss them. Don't say no to them. But once you've done that, please take a moment to reflect upon that failure. Very often we are told that failure is the stepping stone to success, and that's quite bullshit because everybody fails in the world, but not everybody succeeds. So there has to be something between failure and success that makes success happen. And in my opinion, that is reflection. If you don't stop and pause on your failure and reflect upon why is it that you failed, what is it that you could have done differently, what is it that you believed to be true but is not true anymore now that you know it, these failures will just become passing milestones that you will never learn from. So early days, you will fail. It's inevitable that everybody will fail. But whether you use that failure towards your success or not is something that becomes your choice. And that only comes through reflection in my experience. So use these failures as much as you can to gain from it. And as you fail more and more and more, you'll surprisingly get more and more comfortable with it. And at some point of time, you'll realize that failure is just a simple speed breaker, and you are far bigger than that.
No, absolutely. And I think, the first time if a person is experiencing failure, it's going to hit hard. But once he is going to have that experience of failure, then the next time it's not going to impact the way it used to impact in the first time. So I think after a point of time, you need to have that experience in order to bounce back. And, one piece of advice which I received from my mentor was that you should never take success to your mind because you'll have ego issues. Just take it to your heart, celebrate it like a kid, and just move on. And in case of failure, it's exactly opposite. Don't take it to your heart because you'll keep complaining and crying. Take it to your mind, analyze what went wrong, and then bounce back and come up with something better. So I think that resonates with your answer as well.
That's
And
beautifully said.
right. The reason why I asked you this question was because a lot of my audience is doing their CA course. So I'm also a chartered accountant. I cleared it in November 2019. And it's like a lot of people have to fail. So you would also know the passing percentage in CA is what, 5 to 7%. Out of every 100 student, only 5 to 7 students clear their examinations. So just wanted to understand your view, like what would be your message to the other 95 or 93 who are not able to clear their examinations and have that quitting attitude, or they are not able to do well, or maybe they have their societal pressure to clear their examinations. What would be your message to them?
I think the message is very clear, and this has become a realization over several years now. All of these degrees, all of these qualifications, all of these examinations, they are not the end result.
Yeah.
Once you become a CA, it's the start of something, right? It's the start of a professional career. It's the start of your success. It's the start of your growth. It's the start of your money making endeavor, blah, blah, blah. But it's not the only way to do that. It's not the only way to do that. So we over index ourselves so much on clearing the JEE, clearing the CA, clearing the NLS, or whatever else is it that we fancy. And we think that that is the end outcome, but it's not. It's the start of a very, very, very long journey that you may realize you don't even want to do for the rest of your life. Now, it's quite possible, and I'm not picking on you, but it's quite possible, Kushal, that you are a great CA and you've done well on it, but 10 years from now, you may be doing something completely different from being a CA. And at that point of time, your CA passing and your preparation and all the hard work that went into it will seem like a joke and will seem like wasted, but it wouldn't be, as the same way that if you hadn't cleared it, it would still have meant a life that you will continue to live. So please fixate yourself on what is the end result of all of that. And the end result is you make money that keeps you comfortable, that makes you and your loved ones feel happy about life. You're happy doing what you're doing. You're content and fulfilled doing what you're doing. You have desires that you can fulfill and they don't overtake you and overpower you. And you have wonderful relationships in life. And you will be surprised at how little the degree or the qualification or the examination or the school or the college has to do with all of these things, because there's so many examinations and so many examples of people who would go on to live a wonderful life despite not having all of this.
Right. That's very well said. In fact, this is the best motivation for any person who, let's say, wants to decide whether to quit CA or just go ahead and pursue it. Because at times, like, it's like when people are not able to clear their examinations due to external pressures, due to family or peer pressure, they have this fear of at least completing so that they can look better in terms of, like looking good in society, looking good in external pressure as well.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. And in your book only, I also read that you've mentioned about how working smartly and working hard is different. So you've mentioned a very good metaphor is like working smart is the difference between donkey and a human. So again, a very simple question I have for you is that how do you ensure that you're working smart and not working hard? So how do you go to that path?
Yeah, that is a great question. And it's funny you asked me this question because I had a conversation with one of my team members yesterday precisely on that.
Okay.
The unfortunate thing is that we are told that busyness equals success. That if you're busy, you're somehow successful, or you are at least setting yourself up for success. And that busyness then directly translates into quote unquote hard work. Hard work is very different from busyness. So when I differentiate between hard work and smart work, I'm actually differentiating between being busy and being productive. You can be busy all your life and not be productive. You could be slogging it out, doing all the things that a donkey does, which is literally carry the load from one point to another, one point to another, one point to another. But the difference between a donkey and a human, for no fault of the donkey, is that the human can improvise. The human can be like, oh, if my job is to every day pick up this load from A to B, and that is where bulk of my effort is going, is there a better way of doing it? Is there a faster way of doing it? Is there a cheaper way of doing it? Does it necessarily need me all the time? And that is why you would see that the human civilization came up with everything that it did, whether it's transportation, whether it's taming animals, whether it's now cars, tomorrow rockets, day after teleportation, whatever it is, it's basically the endeavor that constantly keeps questioning, how can I do this better, cheaper, faster? And that to me is smart work. In the Indian context, so many of us continued being busy and continue loading our schedule with work, 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 work. But the question is, are we moving forward or not? If we're doing the same task over and over again, are we using technology to do it better? Are we using skills to do it better? Are we using resources to do it better? Are we using our own intelligence to come up with an alternative way to make it cheaper, to make it faster? And if the answer is no, then you are just committed to that ideology of being busy in life as against being productive. So I don't know if it's true or not, but there is this nice quote that is often attributed to Bill Gates. I have a faint feeling it's not true, but he said, if I have to get any work done, I typically look for lazy people to get it done, because lazy people find the fastest way to get anything done because they're lazy. And I'd say that that is somewhat equivalent to being smart.
Right, got it. That's very wonderfully put out. Like a one-liner would be that you have to focus on being productive rather than being busy all the time. It's not that if you're seeing busy that you're busy, it doesn't mean that you're going to be smart and you're going to be productive all the time. That's the difference which everyone needs to realize. That's very well said, Ankur. And like a lot of times, what happens is that people are reluctant to saying no, and they like a lot of people also give this advice that okay, yes, I'm going to do this. Each and every question you should have an answer to it, and like you should say yes to each and every opportunity or each and every question which is there. But I am of this view that of course it's important to say no to sometimes, because if you don't say no, then you won't be able to go ahead and just like focus, eliminate the negative things which are there. So this question is again a very simple, straightforward one. How do you master the art of saying no, and what is the importance of saying no to people?
I think the second part of the question is more important. Saying no to people allows you to say yes to the things that you should be doing. And that's the clarity. We only have limited time, we only have limited capacity, we only have limited energy. And that means whatever is it that we're spending time is taking energy away and time away from something that could also be done. So when you say yes to everything that comes your way, you are essentially also saying no to the things that are most important to you. And those could be work, that could be personal, it could be a combination thereof. More often than not, people find it hard to say no because they worry about what people will think of them. They want to come across as nice, they want to come across as helpful, they want to come across as someone who is always willing to sign up for more things. Goes back to the busyness thing, and also goes back to our need for social validation all the time. Right. If you have clarity that you want to be productive and not busy, if you have clarity that people's opinion of you does not translate into your success and your deliverables, then you will find it easy to say no than yes. And the only way to start doing it is to actually start doing it. And I often advise people to say, in the smallest possible, lowest risk situations, say no. Just say no. Just start by choosing what you want to say yes to and what you want to say no to. We worry about the big risk elements, like the manager comes up with some work. How do I say no to him? How do I say no to her? Well, that is high risk, so you will struggle to say no to them. But if you practice to start saying no in much lower risk scenarios, you will start getting more and more comfortable. And that will then allow you to get into that rhythm. At the same time, here's what I also maintain. In your 20s, you should be saying yeses to multiple opportunities coming your way. And as you get into your 30s, you have to start reducing the number of yeses to start saying. So the number of no's should increase as you age, and the number of yeses should decrease as you age. That does mean that when you are young and when you do have the energy and the excitement and the exuberance to take on a lot more, then say yes to a lot more opportunities coming your way, because you don't know which opportunity changes your life. Great
Right.
opportunities do not come with the subject line great opportunities. They just come. They
Right.
become great because of you being in the right place at the right time. So say yes to opportunities that truly make your heart pound in the right way and get your adrenaline going on. And if you can, then please do it by all means. But don't say yes because you want to be liked by others.
Right. I think the last line which you mentioned, just to relate with some other examples as well, it's very important to understand for everyone that it's not possible to fulfill everyone else's expectations. Just you, if you want to be liked by others, if you want to be in good books of everyone, I don't think it's really possible. So it's better that you just focus on what you're doing, just give your best all the time, and ultimately people are going to like you and your work which you're doing, irrespective of the fact that you're doing for them liking you or you're just doing it because you like doing it. So I'll just put it this way. And like
So
the
true.
taking the yeah, and taking the next question now, again, like a lot of CA students, what like people think, or maybe what these students also think, is that they lack networking skills. So it's very difficult for a CA student to, let's say, reach out to other person, or let's say, like even if in a corporate, you compare an IIM Ahmedabad candidate and a chartered accountant who is freshly qualified. Any person or any investment bank also will give a front end role or maybe a better role to IIM Ahmedabad candidate, and the HR would say that because they have better communication skills, they are good because they have done their multiple case studies in their colleges and all. So what is your view on this in terms of how can CA students, or if not CA students only, but how can everyone just master the art of networking without sounding very desperate and needy at the same time?
The absolute answer for that is you network without any objective or intent attached to it. It sounds almost benevolent and quite frankly selfless, but that is, in my experience, what is the best way to network. When you go out networking for a cause attached to an outcome, it is inevitable that you will come across as desperate, you will come across as needy, you will come across as salesy. And that's what happens when we go for these conferences, these exhibitions,
Yeah.
these fairs and whatnot. There'll be people handing you these business cards, literally forcing them in your face. And you're like, boss, nahi chahiye. Like, I have nothing to do with you. And even if I did, this interaction itself puts me off. So don't network when you need to network. Network because you feel like you need to connect with people. And that's why I often tell, especially individuals in their late teens, their early 20s, use the internet as your best playing ground. That it's, look at Twitter. There are individuals who are so young connecting with people that they would not have even ever imagined to connect with in real life. And it's happening because they're sharing good quality content, they're interacting with other creators and giving them feedback on their content. They're meaningfully adding value to a certain segment of consumers on Twitter. And that is not done with the intention of, oh, I want to sell something, or I want to get a job, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. No, it's purely for the love of connecting with people and getting to learn from them as a curious individual. That is the way that you get started on networking. And that means you can start as early as you can. Like, there is no limit, because at the age of 15, you wouldn't have any need of yours to be fulfilled via networking. And that will be the purest form of networking. You will find the best friends when you're not looking for friends. You'll find the best books when you're not looking for the books. You'll find the best learnings and circumstances in your life when you're not ready for those failures that will hit you. And that is the beauty about life. So I'd say, whatever age you are in, it's never too late. Just start networking. The equivalent of that is the following. I don't know how many of you who are watching this already have a job or have changed jobs, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. The worst time to find another job is when you don't have a job. Like, that's the worst time. The best time to find a job is when you don't have a pressure of finding a job. And that's the same with networking as well. That's the same with anything, frankly, in life. The best time to do something is when you don't desperately need to do something. You just want to do it. And the worst time is when you have to do it and you have no other choice.
Right. That's wonderfully put out. I think I completely agree with you on this and extensively said about how do you ensure that the best, like whenever you want to give the best. Ankur, just a follow up question on this. You said that you should go without a cause, without a purpose, without an intent. But if you are not adding value, let's say in other person's life, why will that other person entertain you knowing the fact that you've just come without a cause or without an intent?
So, when you say without a cause, without an intent, what I mean is there is no ulterior motive that will stand to benefit you from that
Got
interaction.
it.
You, of course, wish to give as much benefit as you can to others, but you're not doing it because you ultimately wish to get something out of it. It's something similar to
Got
what
it.
I tweeted recently, which is the best hack towards making friends is that you appreciate others as against wait for people to appreciate you. That's the
Wow.
best hack of making friends. And
Yeah.
that's true for networking as well. You go about adding value as against waiting for people to give you value.
Wonderful. I think, yeah, that's wonderfully put out. And, Ankur, just talking about the multiple risks which you've taken in your life. I've read all your LinkedIn posts, tweets as well about your experience at ISB. Then you were like CEO for Groupon, and then you took a entrepreneurship journey, started nearby. So, firstly, like, what drove you in order to get into entrepreneurship and start this new venture nearby? And was it very difficult to convince, let's say, your parents or society that you're getting into entrepreneurship? What was that driving factor? What was that instinct?
So before Groupon, I had started on my own in 2009, and I ran startups for 2 years. So my family and my world had already gone through that cycle of denial. We're like, oh my God, ये लड़का हमारी जिंदगी बर्बाद कर देगा, अपनी तो करेगा ही, and all of that. But thankfully that was past. And Groupon was wonderful because while it was an executive role, it was as entrepreneurial as it could get. I was given the
Right.
responsibility of starting a new country, and I frankly had a lot of freedom, a lot of autonomy, and that allowed me to make mistakes and recover from them, allowed to learn my own capability and discover my own self as a leader, as a manager. And in 2015, it was very obvious that Groupon had its own share of problems in US and Europe, which were meaningfully large because those were the two largest markets for Groupon. And the kind of attention they could spend on a country like India was limited, and understandably so. But because we were living the India opportunity day in and day out, we felt that with every passing day, we were saying goodbye to what could be a very big success than what it was while being Groupon. So I felt that taking the Groupon mandate and making it very India specific and India ready would be a great way of approaching it. So we went to Groupon Global and we asked them to sell the Groupon India business to us. And that was an audacious ask because it's never happened before in India. Never before has a 100% subsidiary of a publicly listed company in the US been bought out by the management of the country. But we pulled that off. We partnered with KwK Capital and we bought the majority shareholding of Groupon in Groupon's India business, and that became nearby.com. But at that point of time, frankly, I was in a complete mode of having lived life as an entrepreneur. My world saw me as that. Everything was orchestrated around it. So it didn't seem like a really big move. It seemed like the logical next move to pull off. And I'm glad we pulled it off because Nearby taught me so much about the market, about the Indian consumer, about my own self.
Right. No, that's a very wonderful journey. In fact, like having that entrepreneurial mindset, even in your job, even in your work life, that is very important. So, what I mean, like what I say is that I absolutely agree with you. Even if you're working somewhere, working under someone, you should have that entrepreneurial mindset. So, even if you are in like in a job in a company, having that entrepreneurial mindset is going to be the differentiating factor. It's just that you are making the decisions and you are adding value to the company. That is very important. That's what I usually say. So before getting into entrepreneurship as well, now a lot of students or maybe a lot of entrepreneurs before starting up have a lot of confusion. Let's say like they have an idea, but they don't know whether to execute this or how should we go about this. So the question here is that how do we know whether to execute this idea or not, or like how do you move ahead if I have the idea with me, but how do I move ahead with the process?
That's a good question, and the first stepping stone of starting up. I, over the last several years, have come up with what I call a fake test for testing your idea. And the fake test is approximately a 2 week test. It will take you less than 5,000 rupees to test, but it's terrific for you to have that conviction and that first level of indication of whether the idea is good enough or not. Here's what you do: you actually launch the idea as if it's real. So imagine you are starting up, say, a medicine e-commerce delivery company, right? So you are delivering medicines in 10 minutes at doorsteps. And that's what you want to do. Now you want to test out whether this idea is good or not. And you have no idea. So what you do is you create a website. Think of it like a page. So it doesn't have to be a full-blown website, but a page. And it has everything that it would have if the idea were real. So it will have all the medicines listed, it will have all the discounts listed, it will have everything that's there and so on. And you will then spend a very small amount of money, but you will, say about $100 a day on Google and Facebook to promote that website, that web page, and get people to land on that web page and get them to scroll and browse and actually show intent. They don't have to make a purchase because that will be then being unfair, but they have to indicate interest. It could be giving their phone number, it could be submitting their email address, it could be asking for a call back, whatever the case may be. But you essentially go through a full cycle of building something, presenting it to people, and then testing their response. When you've done that for about 2 weeks, spending about 100 rupees a day on Google and Facebook for about 2 weeks, you spend about 1,400 to 2,800 bucks. You will have multiple clicks and you will know at what cost you've got those clicks. You'll have multiple actions, whether it's a phone number, an email submitted, or interest or whatnot, and you'll know at what cost have you got that action. You will also know what is the back end of this, because if you're selling medicines and the average basket size is 100 to 100 bucks and you as a retailer make anywhere between 10 to 15%, so you know what is the cost of that and at what cost did you get a customer. And that will then give you in just 2 weeks a dummy P&L for your idea. And also the sense of scale that you could possibly generate. This, when compared to all the other ideas that you have in your mind, will be such a great way for you to compare the strengths and the weaknesses of each idea against one another. It's something that I often do. Like at any point of time, I'll have multiple of these ideas floating in the universe and they're just being tested. Data is being gathered. I'll sit on it after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're like, okay, no, don't like it. Yeah, this looks good. Da da da. Works for B2B, works for B2C, works for literally everything, whether it's commerce or it is non-commerce. And it is immensely powerful because what you've done is, even before an MVP or a minimum viable product, you've released what would be a fake product in the universe, given the illusion of it being a real business, of course not having any economic damage done to consumers, but spent your own money to gather the information and then make a conclusion from it.
Right. That's a wonderful idea. And in fact, the key to your answer would be that it's important to take the first step. That's really important. Even if you have an idea, it's important to execute it and just do a pilot run or like just do a dry run and let's see then how that idea works out. So that's really important. So thanks, Ankur, for all your answers. One last question from my side before we get into audience questions and rapid fire round is that let's say you are in the shoes of Kushal Lodha and you are interviewing Ankur Warikoo. What is that one question which you would like to ask Ankur Warikoo towards the end of the conversation?
Oh wow, that's a good question. I didn't think of that. One question that I always love to ask any of my audiences is, how was your relationship growing up with money and how has it changed over time? And what I want to gather through that question is, how do people look at money so differently from everybody else and how their entire ideology towards life goes through such a big change because of their relationship with money?
Right. And I think you've mentioned about this fact in your book as well, about the relationship with money, time, which is like 2-3 relationships with these intangible things. That's very important when you have to develop and grow in your own life. And let's also take a few questions from my audience. So I had like tweeted and I had posted on my YouTube community that you're going to come. So I'll just take 2-3 questions from the audience before we start the rapid fire round, where we're going to have a lot of fun towards the end. So let's take the first question. It's by Tushar Khandelwal. You have 1.6 million subscribers on YouTube, 1.4 million followers on Instagram, and you're famous across all the social media platforms. Let's say 5 to 10 years down the line, what do you want to do? Whether you want to focus on content creation or you're planning to build something to impact people's lives in the future?
So I'm already on that journey, Tushar, and my goal is to be deep into the education space. I am targeting people 18 to 24, so people who are getting into college or are just out of college starting to work, and I want to build something that helps them deal with life and prepare for life. So that's my larger goal, which is what I'm working towards. It's under the radar. It's not something that I actively speak about. It's just something that I'm constantly working towards, and hopefully in 5 to 10 years, if not more, I'll get to that point.
Awesome. Next question is by Priyanka Chavan. She's asking, what is the secret to your charming personality and how to stay calm or relaxed in every situation?
I think, Priyanka, there are three things that work for me. One, I'm immensely grateful for where I am in life, and I think gratitude is such a powerful enabler, because once you start feeling grateful for where you are and what you have, it just opens up so many opportunities for you to rise and shine, because you're constantly looking at the world in admiration and just in disbelief that, oh my god, how am I even here, like what have I done to be here. So that's number one. Number two, I think genuinely helping people helps you. I love helping people. I love with whatever is it that I can help, whether it's my time, whether it's my knowledge, whether it's my money, whether it's a combination thereof. And I find immense joy in helping people. And once you begin to do that selflessly, and you do it in a manner that you just selfishly feel good about it, but you don't necessarily get anything tangible from it, it starts to show in how you conduct with people. And three, I am in love with what I do. I'm not forced to do anything in a day that I don't want to do. I'm living life on my own terms. I'm genuinely doing things that I thoroughly enjoy and think I am good at. And there can't be a better combination. So if I come across as relaxed, high energy, always cheerful, it's largely because I have zero reasons to complain about anything in life, like literally zero reasons. And that then just shows. So thanks for noticing.
Right. That's very positive, and in fact, like it's very optimistic, and it's going to boost a lot of people as well. Let's take the next question by Sneha Adesara. So she's asking, what was the biggest failure in your life, and how did you tackle that failure? One example.
There have been so many, Sneha, so many times that I have failed and stumbled. I could go on and on. When I turned 41 last year, I on Twitter wrote my failure resume, and I'll encourage you to go and check that out, because that's a series of all the things that I failed in life, which have only taught me more and more. If I were to pick one of them, the recent one was in 2016. Nearby went through a really tough time, and we were running out of money, and at that point of time I had to take the executive decision to lay off 25% of our team, which were 80 people. And that was a really hard decision to make, because it was not their fault. It was absolutely my doing, and everything was on me, and yet they had to bear the consequences of my poor decisions, and I felt terrible about it. It took me a long while to get over it, and I'm certain that it wasn't easy for them as well. But that was one point where I intensely reflected on what went wrong, and learned a lot from it.
That would have been tough, like I'm sure, because
It
25% of the
was.
workforce leaving, that's a very tough decision. Kudos to you for handling that as well. Last question from the audience. Let's take it from Bhavik Jain. This is a good one. Ankur always says that the best thing that happened to him because of college was that he found the girl he wanted to marry. My question is, how did you know that she was the one? Were you actively looking out for someone, or it just happened? And how did you propose?
Yeah, no, I wasn't looking for someone, Bhavik. It just so happened, and this is a really cool story. So we met in a bus in Delhi University back then, not anymore. Just like school, there used to be buses that had fixed routes that took the college students from the university campus to wherever else. And Ruchi and I happened to be on the same bus, so we knew each other for about a year before we started dating. And in that year, the more I got to know her, we became good friends, and we had this nice, happy group that we were part of. The more I got to know her, the more I loved her attitude towards life. I loved how she made me feel about myself. I loved how she had this really cheerful approach towards the world and towards people. And the more we got to know each other, the more we realized that we have things in common, and we see the world very similarly from most others. So it became like a natural thing. I don't think either of us did anything specific to propose. I kid you not, like Ruchi and I often speak about this. There was no point of proposal where we like, acha, hum ab girlfriend boyfriend hai. It just suddenly happened, and it was just assumed that was the case. And we knew each other for 7 years before we got married. So we've literally grown up together in that sense. We met each other when we were 19. We started dating when we were 20, and we got married when we were 26. So yeah, long.
Got it. Lovely. Very, very interesting. So thanks a lot, Ankur, for all your answers. Let's get into the last round of the conversation, which is the rapid fire questions. Rules are very simple. I'm sure you know you have to be very quick and very spontaneous. All these questions, you have to answer it like within seconds. You don't have to take time to think about the question's answer. So that's the only rule. All right. So all set?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. Perfect. So when was the last time you got angry?
Day before.
Okay. If not content creation or nearby, what alternate career choice you would prefer?
I would love to be either a marriage or a wedding photographer or a space scientist, which I always wanted to be.
Wow. If ever your autobiography is made, which I'm sure it will be made in a few years, which actor would you like to play your character?
Oh, Amir Khan will be too old by then, but Amir Khan.
Got it. One investment you regret the most?
None, actually. All of them have taught me a lot.
Wow, that's good. Can we expect a sequel to the book Do Epic Shit?
Yes, coming this year itself.
Wow, that's great. 3 people you would like to go on a world tour with?
Ooh. World tour तो बहुत बड़ा commitment हो गया. But if I had to, Brian Chesky, founder of Airbnb, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, and between Elon Musk and Barack Obama, I think Barack Obama.
Okay, got it. If you woke up as the following people tomorrow, what would you do? Brian Chesky.
I would continue doing what I'm doing, man. I love that guy.
Got it. Elon Musk.
I would continue doing what I'm doing. I love that guy.
And Naval Ravikant.
Oh, I would create a lot more video content.
Oh, got it. React in one word to the following: travel,
Optional.
nearby,
Love.
entrepreneurship,
Passion.
marriage,
Beautiful.
Faridabad.
Home.
Great. One thing that no one knows about you and you're going to reveal on my channel today.
I think my life's an open book here. One thing that I don't think people know enough is, I kid you not, I was in love while growing up. I was in love with the character Superman.
Oh.
And when I was really young, between I think 4th or 5th grade or something, I remember actually going to the temple and praying to God that please make me Superman, and promising him that if I do become Superman, I'm going to use my superpowers only for good and never for evil.
That's so sweet, actually. Select one thing out of the following: dancing or singing,
Singing.
content creation or startup founder,
Startup founder.
YouTube or Instagram.
YouTube.
Okay, Bitcoin or Ethereum, or none.
Ethereum.
Okay, process or outcome,
Process.
Naval Ravikant or Gary Vee.
Naval Ravikant.
And last one, chole bhature or margarita pizza.
Oh, that's a good one, man. You've done your research. I would say chole bhature.
Okay. First thing you notice in people when you meet them.
Their eyes.
Okay. Favorite shark from Shark Tank India, if any.
I think Piyush.
Okay, got it. One weirdest DM you have received on Instagram.
This is urgent. I need a job. Call me.
Oh my god.
Kid you not. True story.
And what was your reaction after that?
I didn't respond.
Got it. And last rapid fire round question. So you have to rate the following memes on a scale of 10. So I'm sure you would have watched these memes. I'm just sharing my screen. So let's begin with the first one. How much would you rate this?
This would be, I think, 7.
Okay. Let's move on. If you want to pass any comments, please feel free to pass any comments on the
No, I love it. I'm going to use these memes, man. I need them. You have to send them across to me.
Sure. Let's take the next one. Wow, how much would you rate this one?
Nah, two. This is too cocky.
Okay. Your love towards fixed deposit.
I would say about 6.
Okay. Fourth one.
Again, a 4. Too cocky. Like too much of self praise. I don't like self praise memes.
Okay, got it. And the last one, let's take it from your Insta handle itself. So you will.
Oh, I love
10,
this.
right?
I love this. I'll give this a 9 and I'll give the Sasta Navel a 10.
Okay, got it. No, great. So thanks a lot, Ankur. I think it was too much fun to interact with you, and you answered every question brilliantly. I'm sure every person who's watching this video is going to gain a lot of insights. And I have been your ardent followers. My followers are for sure your ardent followers. Keep inspiring us, keep motivating us, and we look up to you as an inspiration and a role model. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you for the thoughtful questions. I thoroughly enjoyed them, and also the rapid fire. That was a lot of fun. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ankur.